Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your baby look as realistic as possible in a car seat. So this is the car seat I have. It is just a Steelcraft capsule. So the first tip I have to tell you guys is make sure that the straps are adjusted to the right height for your baby's age. So here, I don't know if you can see, but up the back here there's different heights that your straps can go based off the age of your baby. So right now I have a preemie sized baby, so mine's like down here at like the first like slit, and then you have some more above. So based off of your baby's age will be where you put your strap through, but you want to have the strap where the baby's shoulder is really. So that is my first tip I have to tell you guys. So if your baby is like a preemie or newborn sized, a tip, like the second tip is you could add a newborn insert. So my baby is preemie, but I much prefer it without the insert. But if you have one and you would like to use one, you can always add an insert and use the newborn insert. Or if you have a slightly older baby but they still need that little bit of support for their neck, you can just add a like a neck type pillow, so just like the top bit like this. That's also another option you could do. So tip number 3 is not necessary, but if you have them or you would like to use them, you can add these shoulder straps to your straps if you really wanted to. So I actually use these for my babies, so you just clip them on. Some will be sewn onto your baby's strap, but you just have to cut it off. But these ones you can just clip on using the clips that they have. So you just clip it on. Like that. And then once you put the baby in, you can adjust these straps to wherever you need them. So we'll put Hudson in now, just so I can show you. So Hudson is a sleep baby, so I will be showing you guys tips on sleep babies, and then we'll get into the awake baby tips later on. So I'll put Hudson in, but the first thing I want to tell you guys is if you are going out, which in this scenario, if you want to make your baby look realistic in a car seat, you normally would be. So make sure that your reborn, your baby, is dressed in weather appropriate clothing, because if your baby is in like a jacket, sweats, like stuff like that during summer, it's not going to look very realistic at all. So make sure that they are dressed weather appropriate. That's my biggest tip. So once you strap them in, make sure they are all strapped in properly. It's tight, like you tightened it to the right, like tight, like it's not really loose but it's not super tight. That's also another great tip. So once your baby is in here, you want to again adjust. If you have shoulder straps, you want to adjust the straps. If you need to tighten it, you want to tighten it. If you need to loosen it, you want to loosen it, the straps. So if you have one of the clips that go over the chest, make sure it's positioned in the right spot. So if I zoom in now, so Hudson's cloth up here is kind of showing a bit, so you want to make sure like to position the clothing so it's not showing his cloth at all, like whether that be around his neck. If he has quarter limbs with his legs, you want to make sure that you are adjusting it wherever you can see the cloth. So now that we have adjusted his clothing and everything. We've put him in, he's buckled in, his shoulder straps are okay. We can now go on to posing the baby realistically for whatever he is doing or she is doing. So obviously he's asleep, he's sound asleep, so we want to position him so it looks like he's super comfy and he's super relaxed. So Hudson's head can't turn all that much, but as much as it can turn, I like to kind of turn his head to the side a little bit. So he's kind of resting his head and like his little cheek here on the shoulder pad, if you can see. And then I always like to put his arm up, kind of like this, so he's like put his arm up, but you can always position that his arms down so he's like really relaxed and his arms are just down in his lap. But I like to position his arm up near his head. So another thing you could add to this is you could add a blanket. So you could add a heavy blanket like this one here. So obviously you'd have like a heavy blanket like this during the winter, and you could just lay it across like that. Or if you don't have like a heavy blanket, you can always use like a swaddle blanket like this, or like a receiving blanket. You can always do the same thing. You can put it over like that, or you can tuck it in kind of like this. But so it's realistic, you don't want the blanket too far near his face either, because you don't want the blanket going over the baby's face, obviously. So that's another cute idea that you can do. So another thing you can do is you could add some mittens. So if your baby is younger or just like likes to scratch his face or her face, you can add scratch mittens over their hands so they don't scratch themselves. Or if their hands don't look like the realistic part of their body, you can put mittens on to kind of cover them up. Same with the feet. You can always put socks on them, and that goes for like in the winter as well. If it's cold, you'd want to put socks on them. You don't, or like a sleeper with feet, you don't want to have their feet cold. Also, again with the beanie, you'd want to have a beanie on throughout the winter if you would like. During the summer, if your baby's that little bit older and they're awake, you can always have just like a cute little hat to go over top, but it's totally up to you as long as they look realistic. So if your baby has like maybe like a weird shaped mouth, if you have a baby maybe like the Saskia kit where it's an odd shaped mouth, and your baby wouldn't hold that face for a long period of time, you might want to add a dummy to it so it looks more realistic and stuff. And then another tip you could do is add a dummy chain, and then you can connect it to either the car seat itself, or maybe their clothing, or maybe the straps on the car seat. But totally up to you. But I like to add it to my car seat. I have a little strap bit here on the side that I like to clip it to. That way, if it were to fall out his mouth, it wouldn't fall out the pram, it'd hang off the side and it still wouldn't touch the ground. And I wouldn't lose it that way, so even if I'm getting him out, I can just chuck it over the side and it won't go anywhere. So that's another kind of tip that you could do. So that is all the tips I have mainly for the asleep babies. Now I am going to be using just a random awake baby doll that I have laying around, since I do not have an awake baby just yet. So I'm just going to be using this baby, and we're going to be doing the same thing, but I have maybe a few different tips. So I'm going to get Hudson out and we'll move to the awake baby. Okay, so now that Hudson is out, I can now put the new awake baby in. But something I want to do before doing that is she's a much bigger baby, so I want to adjust the straps. So really, I would probably move the straps maybe up one more, but just for the sake of this video I'm going to leave them where they are. But I'm going to just loosen them off. Loosen them off a little bit. I'm going to put her in and then just see how it is. If I need to loosen them a little more, I can always do so. So again, like you would with an asleep baby, you would want to make sure the straps are okay. Make sure they aren't too tight or too loose, which right now they feel okay. You want to adjust the shoulder straps, make sure they're kind of in line with her cheeks, maybe a little under, however you'd like to position them really. So you can pull on this strap bit here if you need to tighten it anymore, which I don't think we really need to. So you also want to position them once they are all strapped in properly and correctly and the straps are adjusted to the right height for the baby. You want to position them also realistically. So obviously they're awake, so if you wanted to, they could have their face turning just outside of the capsule, so it looks like they are kind of maybe looking something outside of the pram if you're pushing them in the pram, or if they're in the car seat, in the car, maybe they're looking out the window. Just position them so they look realistically. If you have toys, so we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, if your baby is a little bit older, maybe they're interacting more with toys. So maybe you'd want to have like this bar here filled with toys. So I have like this garland thing here that she could play with, and then I have this little toy here that she can pull down and let go of if she can reach. So even if you want to position her head at a certain toy that is up in the air, so like she's looking at it and she's interacting with the toy, you can always do that as well. But position them so it looks like they are looking at something and not just looking randomly somewhere. So if your baby is maybe at the age where they could be teething and playing with like teething toys or holding things, maybe you want to give them like a little teething ring or something, a little toy that they can hold on to, and maybe you want to kind of position that in their hand so it's like they are holding it and playing with it and stuff. So that is another idea that you could do. Even if you wanted to have toys maybe hang off the side of your capsule, so maybe it's connected to a little strap bit or just on the side of the capsule that can just hang off, you can always put that in front of them and they can play around with that, whether it be hanging on the top bar up here or whether it be hanging off the side. With blankets, the same thing. So if you're in winter and it's that little bit colder, you can always have the heavier blanket and you can always just lay it over top like that. And then if it's maybe the warmer weather but it could still be a little chilly, you can always still have like the muslin blankets or receiving blankets, and you can always tuck it in, maybe have their hands out because maybe they're at the age where they're interacting more with their hands, so you can always do that as well. But maybe if you want your awake baby to maybe be asleep or like having a little relaxing time, so you can always just shove a blanket over top of the car seat like this. So maybe you don't want them being interrupted by the outside world, you can just throw a blanket over top like that so you can't see them, and then you can easily just take it off. Or you can get a capsule canopy, which you can attach onto the bar up the top here, and then it can come down and cover the whole of the capsule. That's also an option. So just quickly, because I forgot to mention that maybe you have a capsule cover for your capsule like I do, which is just straps onto here, kind of like the canopy, except I don't think it goes back, it just comes forward and goes over underneath. But with the capsule cover, it can sit at the back and it can cover the like hood, but then it can also come over the front as well. So I'll quickly show you guys what that looks like. But before I do that, I always like to have a little toy at the bottom of the capsule for Hudson, sit there and like, you know, like if this were an awake newborn, they could always look at it and stuff like that. So I just thought I'd show you guys that tip because I also have used that. And now I'll quickly show you guys what the capsule cover looks like over. So this is what it looks like with it over. So it is kind of like a canopy, but it may be a little different. So you can see it still covers the hood at the back, so maybe you don't want to get that dirty either, so it kind of covers that as well. But then it also covers the front area, and it covers it all the way around, so even the sides there, like you still can't see in. And then it's easy to just lift up if you need to. You can always have it just down one side maybe if you can get it to hold up that way. And then once you're done, you just slip it right back through so both layers are at the back. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys these two tips as well, because I thought that they might be helpful as well. So those are all the tips I have for asleep and awake reborn babies, and how you can make them look realistic in a car seat or a capsule or a pram. If you guys would like to see a video like this but with a seat on a pram, feel free to comment below and I'll make sure to do that. But it won't be a while because I don't have an awake reborn. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this video was helpful to making your baby look realistic in a car seat, no matter the age, or whether they are awake or asleep. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!